Welcome to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast with your host, legendary powerlifter and strength athlete, Chad Ikes. For most, the journey of strength starts in the gym, but should inevitably expand through all aspects of life. Join us as we discuss all things strength. Now, here's your host, Chad Ikes.
Hey, everybody. We're back again with another episode of The Quotes and my new host slash girlfriend, Amber Hansen. So I think I'm going to have to redo the intro.
I have to.
Are you legendary yet too? Because you're going to be.
Yeah, not even close.
I think you're getting close.
We're talking about corn. Maybe.
Lots of corn. I love corn.
Corn.
With the K and with the C. I like me some corn in the training too. Okay, so today I'm going to go back to Friedrich Nietsche because I love me some Nietzsche. And the quote is, "I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible." Like, that's so intense to me. That's kind of how I live my life sometimes. That's definitely how my powerlifting career was. I tried to be as smart as I could be and learn as much as I could be. But there was always that point for me where, like, torn hamstring, who gives a shit? Up it, let's go 1173 and see what happens. Because either way, in my head, it's like, sometimes it's not even about winning or being successful. It's about the chance that you're willing to take and how far you're willing to push yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this one is, I'd sum this one up with the word limits.
Ooh.
And yeah.
Go further.
Like and not necessarily understanding what your limits are, but it's the mentality of thinking that you have none and living your life like that.
So you're saying that's a good thing to not limit yourself? In
this context, yes. But you just said torn hamstring, whatever, send it. That's silly.
It's only silly? Well, that's not so bad.
I could have used other words, but people, we're human beings. We're not immortal. We have limits. However, the mentality of thinking that you don't and striving to achieve whatever the fucking greatest thing that you can imagine, that's what I think this is about. And working towards that and living your life that way.
Kind of on a more metaphoric side, but then you still have to have some reality mixed in there.
Yeah.
Because it probably was dumb, but that's just me.
Take probably out of it. Well, you didn't think I was going to give you shit on that, did you?
No, I did. That's why we're doing it. You're the only one that can give me shit, though. Just kidding. It also kind of reminds me when I was coming up, and 1,000-pound squat was still a very big deal. And Brent Mikesell came along, and I think he broke Ed Cohn's 1,020 something or 1,040 something. And it was like he just kept going up. And then it's like Steve Goggins hit 1,100 pounds. And I remember in my head going, Jesus, like, how can they keep squatting more? Like, people's bones are going to break or something. Mm-hmm. And then it just kept going up. And I think Brent stopped at like 1,071 or something. And I did 1171, and I did like 1173. And it was like, there was a point where I went, I will never limit a human being ever again in my life. Like, that was dumb. Like, it's what we can do. I mean, we've never found a limit. We keep doing more in every sport, in every business, with planes and spaceships and rockets. Like, Jimmy's going to love this episode. Like, we keep getting better and better. So where is there a limit? Why would you even put a limit on it?
Right. That's the same thing. So on the women's side, when I first started in equipment, 600 pounds was a big squat. And I think the cool thing is that people keep pushing these limits. And when one person breaks one of those big barriers, it lets all the rest of those people that are kind of on the cusp or kind of close or could do it, it lets them know that it's possible. So as soon as those 700-pound squats for the women started falling, they just added up and added up. Now we have 4 that have squatted 8. We're about to have another one. It's just going to keep going and going. Leah, over 900 pounds. And if you're looking at the raw side, like 315 is the new 225 for women. 225 is the new 135 for women. And we just keep pushing the envelope, and it lets everyone else know it's possible.
That's actually interesting what you're saying, and I've kind of thought about that too, where it's like you'll have a record that'll stay for a while, and then say 5-10 years, and then when somebody breaks it, bam! All of a sudden, other people start, and it was like first of all, what's the mentality of that first person?
Yeah,
like how strong is he? And he's like this quote to me. He's the one that's going, I don't care. Like I don't care what it does, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And then once he does it, it opens up this attitude for everyone else. Because, well, somebody else did it, so I can do it. Yeah. And even with the shot put record, which was like 30 years old, just got broke by Ryan Krauser. And then right after that, I can't remember his name. The other guy, he didn't beat Krauser's record, but he beat the previous world record. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wait a minute, it took 30 years and all of a sudden 2 guys just beat it. Like, that's insane. Yeah. And then there's other guys that are starting to come close too now. And so it's like that you have that one person that truly has this mentality of like, I don't care, like I'm going to go past it. And then that opens the door for other people to start going, well, okay, well, wait a minute, if he could do it, why can't I do it? Why can't I beat him? And I think that also shows how important mental strength is in pretty much everything. Like business, love, sports, like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting too, because I think there's got to be a correlation with those records that were set and that stood so long. Look at the amount of people that were competing in the sport at that time and then look at it now. I think the possibility, if we're just looking at like math and probability, it's not that big of a leap to see these things be broken multiple times in a year because there are so many different higher level lifters competing than there was.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's more people in it. More people are getting introduced to it. Where, like, when I was growing up, you were looking at magazines, and there was a while where strongman and powerlifting was on TV more. Mm-hmm. And now people can get information about it easily.
Oh, yeah.
And they can find competitions and meets and coaches and all that stuff. So there's a much bigger draw. And the information that's getting handed down is getting handed down so easier. So much more easy, maybe. I don't know.
I knew he.
And then where can it go? I mean, I look at, because when I was competing at my height, everybody was wearing gear, and I wore gear because I wanted to compete with the best of the best.
Right.
And now I'm seeing raw guys are hitting numbers that are as good as we were hitting in gear, and I'm like, holy shit! And then, like you said, like the women's numbers are insane right now. Like there's so many strong women, it's just crazy.
Pretty nuts.
And where will it go? But I do think that it's going to take people with a mentality kind of like this.
I agree.
And the people, I mean, and even if you're not thinking about my tearing myself up at a competition, but how far are people willing to go day to day?
Yeah.
Or people are like, hey, we wanted to have kids, but I don't want to have kids yet because I think we could hit this number. Or like I switched jobs up because one job that I had wasn't going to work with powerlifting. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I got career, whatever. I want to do this, so I'm going to switch it up.
I set myself up in my military career so I could come back to Ohio because that for me.
And that's. I mean, you did it. Like it was part of that. Like kind of like this quote.
Yeah, I knew I was going to, like, I made it so that I was good enough at my job to where I could get to where I wanted and choose where I wanted to go. Oddly enough, it's the Midwest, which everyone thinks I'm crazy for, but because this is what I want to do and this is what I want to be great at, I needed to get back here. So I
Right.
did what I do on the 9 to 5 to get back here so that I could hit what I wanted to hit.
Right. Which I totally respect. So in the quote though, he said the better life purpose, no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible.
Yeah, that part's interesting. Then to perish. So that means dying.
Yeah, so it's almost like what we're talking about is not necessarily like the quote.
No, I'm not. So here, I don't know, maybe this might be new for you. I'm not willing to die for powerlifting. I'm not. Like, just not a thing. But
I'm not going to let that happen
yeah,
anyway.
that's never been. However, if I'm on my deathbed and I can look back and say I did everything that I wanted to do, I said I was going to do a thing, and then I did the thing that I said. I helped build the sport up. I hit the numbers I wanted to hit. I had an impact. That's to me like the limit.
Right.
Like that I'll be on my deathbed and be happy with that and perish knowing that I accomplished that.
Which is similar to how I've always been.
Yeah.
Like if I made a positive change in the world. So actually, I'm thinking we're actually talking slightly off the quote a little bit.
We've been off the quote for a
We're
while.
saying that it's not, you don't want to perish. It's almost, but you need to be willing to attempt the great and impossible.
Yeah.
And go as far as you can go, slight of actually perishing.
And I think that the quote omits a big part of, so it's very, I don't know, it's very it's missing a big part of the puzzle, which is failure.
Yeah.
Like you can't just strive for all of this and that's what you're working towards, and that this is, the quote is assuming that you're doing all of these things, but you're going to have setbacks. Like you, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't think I can think of a powerlifting one. I'm thinking of like military war examples of something to perish for. What was the end of it again? We read the last part.
I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible.
Mm.
I read it and I just like it.
Well, yeah, it sounds good. It
But
sounds bad.
then when I break it up, I'm like, well, I mean, is it if you perish doing? I'd rather see you be successful doing something than perish doing something.
Right. Like,
But I think it's the attempting the great and impossible is the part that I really like, and
yeah.
going for it. And if like in the military analogy, like you're going to lose some battles,
Yes.
but you never quit. You keep going. No, this is what I want. And so maybe it's not perishing doing it, but it's doing it until you perish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe we were taking it too literally.
And even I can take that into powerlifting, and I'm going to bring up Ed Cohn because Ed Cohn did his numbers, and he's such a great person and a great human being that he's still in the sport, and he's still helping the sport, and he's still growing the sport. I mean, he will literally perish attempting the great and impossible of like trying to grow this sport and be a true legend in the sport and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a great example. I think when we put it that way and that like scope, I get it.
Yeah. And that could go anywhere. I mean, not even in powerlifting, but in any sport you like.
Yeah, family.
Yeah, family, a
Career.
job, a career, a business. I mean,
Mhm.
even if you have like, I don't know, you want to help abused women, like you spend your life trying to
Mhm.
fight for that cause.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like
I
it.
mean, I do. It's a very versatile quote. I do like it. I think once we figured not to take it so literally as like dying in the moment, that's when I started to lean into it a little more.
Well, Nietzsche, he's a pretty smart guy.
What is he famous for?
Making quotes.
This is a quote guy, right?
All right, guys. We got another episode out of the way. And there'll be more coming. We're going to keep going with this.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Thanks for listening. And until next time, me and Amber say goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast. For more information, please visit couragebarbell.com. Until next time.